Hello, you beautiful people. I hope you are enjoying the start to the new year 2024. My name is Dylan Nosbish, and I welcome you to my very first voice recording presentation called Journey to the Bottom of the Earth. This presentation is about my own personal trip down to Argentina and Antarctica. Specifically Antarctica, but I was able to see some of Argentina, so wanted to share that with you. Okay. A little bit about myself. I am from Las Cruces, New Mexico. I have two bachelor's degrees from New Mexico State University, one in history and one in geography. I have studied abroad in Rockhampton, Australia in 2014. Wow, that was almost 10 years ago. But that was at Central Queensland University in, again, Rockhampton, Australia. Sorry, I just repeated myself. And I have taught English in several cities in South Korea. Some to just mention Suncheon, Gwangju, etc. Okay. I have worked as a lifeguard. I've worked with DoorDash. I have taught with multiple online ESL companies through China, Japan, Taiwan, Hong Kong, the Philippines, and South Korea. Okay. Now, before I jump into the presentation, I would like to say this Google Slides presentation was built for a reason. After the geography department found out I took this journey down to Argentina and Antarctica, they asked me if I could give a presentation, a colloquial presentation, about my journey. And of course, I said yes. It was an honor to give it. I spent a lot of time building this PowerPoint presentation, so I hope you enjoy it. And I gave the speech on November 15th, 2023. Okay. People attended face to face as well as via Zoom. And it was great. So thank you to those who showed up, and thank you to thank you to the geography department for allowing me to give this type of talk. Okay. Some people that showed up, friends, family, students, professors, etc. It was a lot of fun, and it really made the trip itself was meaningful, but being able to give a talk like that helped me even more. It actually made me feel very special, and again, I was very honored. So thank you. Okay. Two last small details before we jump in. This will be a two-part video. Okay. Again, two parts. The reason why is because I have a lot of photos, I have a lot of videos, and a lot of content. On top of that, having it split into two parts, I can kind of focus more, on each slide instead of rushing through it, so you don't have to sit in front of the computer or, your phone or whatever for forever. Okay. The last thing I want to say is, again, the trip itself was a personal experience. Me giving this voice recording is my own pleasure and personal choice to do this. I am no expert about Argentina or Antarctica. I am not a researcher, and this is not for work. This, yes, face-to-face and via Zoom was through the university, but the trip itself, as well as this voice recording presentation, it's for personal pleasure. Okay. So, with that said, let's begin. Okay, I'm going to switch to the slideshow. So again, the title is Journey to the Bottom of the Earth. I'm sure you can understand why, right? You go all the way down to Antarctica, and where is it? It's at the bottom of the earth. Now, my trip was from Argentina. I will say, I believe some of the ships can go from Chile or on the other side of the world, New Zealand. But again, my personal trip was from this beautiful green country right here, Argentina. When I had to fly from the US down there, it was quite the trek. I had to drive an hour to El Paso, Texas, then fly from El Paso, Texas to Dallas, and then Dallas down to Buenos Aires, or Buenos Aires, however you want to say it. And that's not your final stop. The final stop is actually down here in this city called Ushuaia. Okay. I did get to see a little bit of Buenos Aires. So before I jump into Ushuaia, I want to be able to touch on Buenos Aires. Okay. It was quite the trek to get down there, and and didn't even go to Antarctica yet, right? But all of it was a journey, and it was amazing. Okay, so in Buenos Aires, you fly into the international airport. But when you have to fly from there down to Ushuaia, you have to fly from the domestic airport, which means you have to do a transfer, okay? The international airport, I believe, is called Ezeiza or Azizia, something like that. And the domestic airport is called Aero Park. It's about an hour transfer. So along the way, got to take some photos. Right here, you get to see the cool taxi cabs of Argentina, the beautiful sculptures. It was a beautiful day, first of all. So it was just amazing to be able to see this stuff. But, take the taxis, take the, see the sculptures. And then up here in the top right, we have the famous Diego Maradona, okay? The reason I put him on here is when I was in Argentina, this was a few weeks after they won the World Cup against France in an unbelievable game. If you don't remember it, YouTube it. It was probably the best World Cup I have ever seen. So being able to go down there and be in Argentina after they were victorious was pretty amazing. Now, of course, Diego Maradona doesn't play for them anymore, but he is a legend. So that was really cool to see. And this bottom right picture is just a picture of a soccer ball with the Argentinian? I have no idea how to say that. We'll just say the Argentina flag, okay? With the which I thought was cool. I did not take this photo. I just thought, since they're really big on soccer or football, if however you want to say it, I just thought it would do well to be in my presentation. Okay. A few more photos. Over here is the ocean. From the transfer, just driving by it. Again, beautiful day. And we have the Argentina flag. I really like the colors of this flag. Light blue, white, and a yellow sun. It's not too much and it's not too little, It's just like the perfect amount. So, good job. The other cool thing, which I think this is cool, but I love being in cities with just congested traffic. If you've ever been to Vietnam, Hanoi, or Ho Chi Minh City, the traffic is crazy. I've actually never been to Ho Chi Minh City, but Hanoi, the traffic was insane, and it's really entertaining to watch. So it was kind of the same thing down in Buenos Aires. Very congested, but very cool also because people were in a hurry to get where they wanted to go, but nobody honked. It was really interesting. Sometimes you would see cars like this one, they would be driving in multiple lanes at a time. Um, Definitely an adventure, right? So, again, I didn't get to see that much of Buenos Aires, but I did want to, again, share a few of the photos, okay? Now, from Buenos Aires, or Aires, again, sorry, I keep saying again, but if you want to fly down to Ushuaia, Ushuaia is, I believe it's the southernmost city in the world. It's between that and Queenstown in New Zealand. But Ushuaia is, I mean, right at the tip of Argentina. Okay? So, when you're in Ushuaia, the slogan is Fin del Mundo. Again, Fin del Mundo, which means end of the world. Okay? Um, this picture on the left was flying in. It's really different than Buenos Aires because Buenos Aires is, city, lots of people, um, you know, and congestion with the traffic, like I showed you. But with this one, it was, or this city, excuse me, it was like a mountainous town on the coast of Argentina. And I loved it. I really felt like I was in the middle of nowhere. Um, and it was really exciting. Um, Honestly, it was awesome. So again, the beautiful mountains, kind of cloudy, right by the ocean where there's a lot of ships that go down to Antarctica. Or, as you can see right here, some of the ships are not cruise ships. They might be fishing ships or ships to catch crab. Crab was very famous food to eat down there, etc. Right over here on the right is, if you go inside this building, on each side there are little booths, all on both sides going down the whole thing, and there's people working in each booth selling their own handmade arts and crafts, clothes, etc. This was really cool to be in. Um, because I don't know about you, but I like to buy stuff from the people themselves, not so much like branded types of souvenirs. You know what I mean? This it's really special to bring stuff like that back. And right up here on the right, we had Messi as the GOAT, right? Greatest of all time. If you don't know soccer, Messi is probably the best soccer player in the world, either him or Ronaldo. But at this point in time, he was the best soccer player in the world, because they just won the World Cup, like I mentioned. So seeing him on a bag of Lay's was pretty awesome. A few more pictures from Ushuaia. This top left one, as well as this one on the right, or sorry, not the right, excuse me, at the bottom in the center. These were views from my hotel, okay? The reason I got a hotel instead of a hostel is this is a very big trip. So I went through a travel agent who was able, called Adventure Life, who was able to help set up my airline flights, my pickups from the airport to the hotels, to the cruise ships, help me get my hotels, and help me get my insurance. So I know that stuff's probably not that important, but I just wanted to let you know this type of traveling was a little different than like if I was just on a whim and needed to stay in a hostel. Okay. So being able to see views from this hotel was great. Up here was a staircase that led up into this neighborhood, and that kind of led to my hotel as well. I just thought it was some cool paintings and colors. This was my favorite painting down here on the left. Normally we hear Antarctica, but this one said Antarctica, which I believe is Spanish for Antarctica. Okay. I thought it was really cool. You can see Argentina right here with the flag, explorers, a Zodiac boat. Zodiac boats is what we actually travel on. And this probably a research station. It was really, really awesome. Again, if you get the chance to go to Ushuaia, check out this painting because it really stuck out to me. Okay. Also, if you get the chance to go down to Ushuaia, go to Avenida San Martin. Now, Avenida San Martin is the main drag or the main strip, you can say, where there's cafes, shops, restaurants. It was really cool. Pretty much everybody's on this street while you're there, right? Because that's where everything's happening. The cafes, if you're getting something to eat, if you want to go to the shops, take photos. Pretty much here, and then the street down from it. I don't remember the name of the street, but that's more by the water. There's some restaurants as well, but again, this was the populous area, right, of tourists. Okay. So here is me and my giant head, and this is on my way down to the cruise ship. So Ushuaia was great. I got to see a little bit of it, explore it, but again, my main purpose for this trip was the Great White Continent, Antarctica. Okay, right here is a mural of penguins, of course. There's actually 4 penguins on this mural, but because I wanted to be in the center and have a really good photo, I only got to get these 2 guys in. But you can see up here, Ushuaia, Antarctica, Moscow, and Madrid. Now, I do not think this is Madrid, Spain, so do not get confused. But right here is the sign that's pointing me of where I'm supposed to go. World's End. Again, and I'm just going to say this one more time. Ushuaia means, or the slogan is Fin del Mundo, okay? Which means end of the world. So this is kind of the same thing, right? The world's end. Okay? When I went on this cruise ship, I went through a company through the Netherlands. So yes, I went through Adventure Life, who was my travel agent here in Montana, but they partner with a ship operator called Oceanwide Expeditions. Okay? Oceanwide Expeditions is out of the Netherlands. And this type of cruise ship is not like, if you do this type of cruise, it's not a party cruise. This isn't, I mean, yes, we partied, but this isn't like Royal Caribbean or Carnival or, those cruise ships where there's just thousands and thousands of people with water slides and casinos and jazz bars and, all different types of restaurants, blah, blah, blah. This was called an expedition cruise ship. Now, I want to be very clear about that, because an expedition cruise is more about the excursions from the ship to the mainland, or excursions like doing scuba diving, kayaking, camping. Um, they have cruise ships that have helicopters on them that can take you more inland to Antarctica. It's not so much about just being on the ship and staying on the ship the whole time. Okay? Um, Wonderful company. I am going to say that because I have never been more impressed with a staff that comes from the kitchen staff, the cleaning staff, the guys that handled the Zodiac boats, the crew, the tour guides, the captain. Phenomenal job. So thank you again to Oceanwide Expeditions. Um, they have different ships that go down with different names, so you know where you're supposed to go. Mine was called the MV Ortelius. Okay. If you don't know what MV means, I put it right here for you. It means motor vessel. So if you ever see MV in front of a ship, it means motor vessel. And again, my ship was the Ortelius. Okay. Also, here's just one last look at Ushuaia, where you can see the beautiful mountains alongside the beautiful expedition cruise ship. Okay. Yeah. So, I hope you're enjoying it so far. Let's move on to the inside of the ship. When you stay on these ships, there's different rooms. There's like a quad room with 4 roommates. There's a twin room, which is what I was able to get. Long story, but I actually was able to get this for free. But pretty much I only had one roommate, a guy from the Netherlands who was super nice. Hope he's doing well. And you have these great portholes. Okay, so if you look at the top left photo and the bottom right photo, we had the twin room portholes. So pretty much the more money you pay, right, the better your room is going to be. So the quad was, it was still a good room, but that was probably the cheapest room out of all of them. Mine was the next level up. Again, I was able to get it upgraded. Really long story, but it was great. So if you do this type of trip, I highly recommend this room with just one roommate. The ones with the 4 roommates, I did go down to check them out. They're kind of cramped. I'm not gonna lie to you. They're a little cramped. So I would check out the ones with the 2. There's more space and you can hang your clothes better, your suitcases, all that stuff. Right here on the bottom left, that was the dining hall. Now, when you pay for a cruise like this, it's breakfast, lunch, and dinner is included. So yes, you're paying a lot of money up front, but you're also getting a lot with it, right? You're not having to worry about buying breakfast, lunch, or dinner. So it was like a buffet style on 2 sides. Wonderful food, wonderful kitchen staff, delicious meal, and delicious everything, right? So that was a lot of fun. And then up here, this was on the 4th floor of the cruise ship, as well as my room was the 4th floor. If you go up 2 stories to the 6th floor, this is where the lounge / bar area is. Now, most people hang out up here because sometimes you're not on the land or kayaking or scuba diving or camping or or sleeping, right? So where do you hang out? You hang out in the lounge area as well as the bar area. Okay. Now, this was really cool. The bar was called Krillum All. This sign right here is about the famous band Metallica. Now, I love metal and rock and all that, so being able to see this was really cool. If you do not know, Metallica is the first band and maybe the only band to play on all 7 continents. Now, when they played down in Antarctica, some of the staff from ocean-wide expeditions, maybe not so much this this specific staff, but from the ship operator, some of their staff worked with Metallica when they played down in Antarctica. They have an album called Kill 'Em All. Okay, so they did a play on words here and called it Krill 'Em All. Really awesome, really awesome. Um, and this was really cool too because up here you really got to know your your fellow travelers. You know, we played cards together. We ate, food, ate snacks up there together. We drank together. I'm not going to lie about that. It was a lot of fun. We had, I mean, obviously not all the time, but, sometimes when you're just hanging out on a ship and you're looking for a drink, it was definitely worth it. Okay. So let's move on to the next one. Now, we're on the cruise ship, right? And you go from Ushuaia down to here, which is, of course, Antarctica, okay? Now, the cruise ship, it takes 3 days to cross here. First, you go through the Beagle Channel, which is very calm, still waters. But then you get into the Drake Passage. The Drake Passage was pretty intense, I'm not going to lie. You have to have Dramamine with you. They sell patches that you can put behind your ears. I had pills with me, so I was able to take, my Dramamine pills and, not feel motion sickness. But it does take 3 full days to get down, okay? So, with that said, I have video going down to Antarctica as well as coming back. Going down, the waters weren't as intense as going back. So I wanted to put one video more for not so much the rockiness of the boat, but just to show you that, I mean, these waters are dark. You cannot see anything. You cannot even see breaking the surface, right? As well as if you look up here, the clouds are just dim and gray and just like really kind of eerie. You kind of felt like you're part of Pirates of the Caribbean, No, it was, again, the waters were pretty rocky going down. I personally thought it was worse coming back, and I have more videos later on, which will be in the second part of the videos, or of this presentation, excuse me. So, with that being said, let me show you just the Drake Passage. Okay, enjoy. So again, I mean, I know it wasn't, like the boat's not rocking like crazy. There's no rogue waves or anything, but I mean that's pretty like black waters, right? I mean, really kind of eerie to be on. And especially when you go down to Antarctica and you start thinking to yourself, I have no idea where I am. You know, I have no phone signal, no GPS. You know, you're just out there, and really awesome to take in. Okay. Oh, sorry. So let's move on to the next slide. Let me get back into the slideshow. Okay. Some facts about Antarctica. Antarctica is a desert. Yes, again, I know we think about deserts being hot, dry, you know, getting dehydrated, um, sand, right? Um, I'm from the desert, so I can say this. But Antarctica is a desert. It gets not they it gets really intense winds. Um, there's not really any buildings and stuff to. I mean, I'm sure there's buildings down there, but I'm talking about skyscraper buildings, right, to block winds and stuff, to block the winds, or the cold, any of that. So it is one of the windiest places on Earth. Um, the other thing is Antarctica falls under, or the cruise ships, excuse me, the cruise ships fall under the International Association of Antarctica Tour Operators. Again, International Association of Antarctica Tour Operators, otherwise known as the IAATO. Okay? The reason I wanted to mention this is if you look down here in the right, I think we're down on the third floor in this like lecture room. And what they had us do is bring down all of our gear that we were going to take on the continent. So that's gloves, your jacket, your beanie, your net gaiter, your thermals, your pretty much everything, right? Your cameras, your man, I don't even know what else. I had a waterproof backpack that I had. Um, Pretty much everything, right, down here. And what they would have you do is they would have you vacuum and pick off every single piece of lint from, it didn't matter if it was the smallest speck. They do not want to ruin the Great White Continent, which was awesome to me. They really care about Antarctica, and they really care about keeping it as pristine as possible, right? So the other thing is, I bought my own hiking boots, which are great. I love them. I use them in Argentina. But what the ship operator does, is use what's called muck boots. Now, muck boots were pretty much just every single person wore muck boots. It didn't matter who you were. It didn't matter what you were doing. When you went on the continent, or when you went kayaking, or whatever you did, you wore muck boots. Okay. The reason why is because when you get back on the ship, there's a cleaning station where you can scrub the boots and use the cleaner, excuse me. Um, so every single boot got cleaned the same. Also, when you're on the mainland, you'll be stepping in penguin poo. Yes, again, penguin poo. um, so, when you get back on the ship, you're going to have stuff on the boots, but pretty much for the crew, it just makes it easier to have everybody clean the exact same type of boot. Okay? Um, Again, I just want to say that I think the IAATO is amazing, and I think it's great how in I don't know if I should say intense, but it was pretty wild that we like literally were vacuuming the insides and outs of everything. Even the inside of my backpack, the outside, taking off the lint, taking off the dirt. Um, yeah, sorry, I can go on and on, but really great that they keep it as clean as possible. Okay. Um, Another fact about Antarctica is trips are successful dependent on weather, ice conditions, and people's health. Okay, and probably more, but pretty much weather, ice, and people's health. Um, if somebody gets really sick, or breaks their leg or something, since you're in the middle of nowhere going down, pretty much the ship has to turn around and come back. The other thing is it's dependent on weather and ice. Now, I said that that there's camping and kayaking and getting on the land. It's all based off the weather and the ice. If the weather is bad or if the ice is bad, stuff will get canceled. So you pay for this ahead of time, and you pay for excuse me, you pretty much, it's kind of like a gamble, right? You're paying for this stuff ahead of time, not knowing what's going to happen down there. Now, I would say my trip or the trip I was on was about, I'd say maybe 87% successful. We did have to cancel 3 of the landings, but I was still able to do the camping. The kayakers went 6 times. I only went 5 of the times. I'll explain that later. And we were able to get on the land, I think, 5 or 6 times. So it was very successful. So if you do a trip like this, whether it's to Antarctica or even the Arctic, just be aware that this stuff does happen, okay? I wanted to show this flag as well because Antarctica does have its own flag, and this is the shape of it, okay? Really awesome. So like I said, you can pay for camping, kayaking. There were scuba divers. You do this ahead of time. Now, luckily, I had this stuff lined up early on because they only have a limited amount of spots for the camping, kayaking. With the diving, I'm not really sure. I'm sure you have to have certain certs for it as well, but especially with the camping and kayaking, you have to have you pretty much pay for this stuff like way in advance. So just a heads up, if you go do a trip like this and you're interested, jump on it sooner than later. Get yourself locked in, okay? Because it's worth it. Now, the camping was really cool because this was like our first time on the land. We were supposed to go on this island called Orne Island. That's Orne. And it actually got canceled. The very first landing got canceled because of bad weather, ice, etc. But as after we waited, I think maybe 6 hours, 8 hours or something, the sky started becoming beautiful, and one of the crew members was like, "This is the night we need to camp because the weather is perfect." Now, you want to be able to go do it and enjoy it and, kind of, not just check it off your list, but you want to be able to do it. But, again, it's based off the weather and the ice, okay? So, luckily, we had a perfect night because I found out that one of the guys that went on the ship the day before us, their camping actually got canceled for this reason. they never did the camping the whole trip because every time they tried, something went wrong. So I was very fortunate. Here is the cruise ship, and here's the Zodiac boat. So pretty much how it works when you do landings or the kayaking or the camping, whatever, or even the diving, you go from the cruise ship down the side on what's called the gangway. Okay, the gangway is like a ladder that goes down the side of the cruise ship, and you hop into the Zodiac boat. You do what's called a sailor's grip. That's how the crew gets you in safely. And then the Zodiac boat goes to wherever you're going, right? The landings, the kayaking. Yeah. But for this specific slide, let's talk about the camping. As you can see here, there are our explorers from the ship dragging up these sacks of I think it was like a sleeping bag, and there's something called a bivouac bag, and this is pretty much your gear for the night. Okay, so you drag it up to the top. Here's the poles is where your camping area is. Right here is a better picture in the center. And you pretty much set up camp right here. Now, this isn't camping with tents. This isn't camping with like in an RV. You're pretty much like, this is what you have, as well as your clothing. So, yeah, stay warm. No, it was really cool because what you do is and I'll show this on the next slide, but you pretty much dig your own grave. You build an ice wall around it, and you sleep inside the grave, right, for the few hours. Have people take your photos showing that you've slept in Antarctica, right? So anyways, yeah, I'll show that on the next one. But this is one thing that I wanted to show was they did bring their own portable toilet to the campsite. Now, from this view, there was a perfect view of the ship and the glaciers. I mean, it was pretty wild. And yes, I did use this toilet because, why not, right? You're there for an experience. So here's me standing behind it, and here we go. So from the camping, again, you dig your own grave, like I was saying. Here is me hard at work. But no, just kidding. No, you pretty much dig like a grave. I know I keep repeating myself, but that's what you do. I know that sounds crazy, but that's what you do. And I probably sound like I'm repeating myself, and I probably am. I apologize. And then you lay inside of it and build your ice wall. Have somebody take your photo to show that you have slept on Antarctica. Now, I would recommend building it a bit taller than your actual height because my foot cramped up right here in the bottom. So I wasn't the most comfortable. This was my view from the hole. Like this right here is actually like right under this is where my feet were. But this was my view of these glaciers. One of them actually broke off and collapsed into the ocean. So that was really cool to see. But yeah, we had a great time. And we got to camp in between not one, not two, but 3 penguin colonies. I do have a slide about the wildlife I saw. These penguins on the campsite, they were Gentoo penguins. We saw 3 different types of penguins, which I'll show you later. But the 3 colonies were Gentoos. Kind of hard to sleep when you hear penguins, going all night. But Um, Very cool experience. And of course, I got to show you some videos, right? So, first, let's look at the 360 view of the campsite. Apologies that the video was a little blurry at the end. I have a better video right here, but let me show you the 360 view one more time. These penguins did come up to our campsite really closely as well. So let me show you a video of that. What an amazing experience. Now, let's get into. Sorry, I'm just checking the time on the recording. Looks like we're still pretty good. Again, because we want to just get through half of the presentation, and that way, we can move on and all that good stuff. Now, the next. Oh, sorry. The next excursion I did, so I did the camping, as you just saw. Hope you enjoyed the videos. The penguins coming up close was phenomenal. The second excursion I did was the kayaking. Now, I will say this was my favorite part of the trip. I loved getting on the land, I loved the camping, but man, kayaking in Antarctica, what an adventure, okay? So here's me again. I wanted to take a picture of the front of the kayak so you can kind of get a first person view of what you see. Um, and here's the backside of the kayak in this middle photo. Okay, when you kayak through this ice right here, this is called growler ice, I believe. Um, it was just really eerie. Like the first time kayaking was just felt like it didn't feel it didn't feel real. You know what I mean? Like I got down there, I got in the kayak, and I opened my eyes and I thought to myself, Dylan, what are you doing? um, Now, I will say before we get into the kayaking, these kayaks are called sea kayaks. Sea kayaks are two-seater, as you can see right here in the top right photo, and they're very wide. So they don't tip as easily as a single-seater kayak. This guy right here in the front was our guide. Um, and he was the one in the single seater, but pretty much all of us were in doubles, unless we were one person short. If we were one person short, then they would have then they would be kayaking by themselves. Okay, but pretty much most of the time we had a partner, worked together, and had an adventure. Um, these photos, these especially these top two, are two of my favorite photos because this obviously is a picture of me at the front of the kayak, and as you can see on the top right photo, this iceberg is like a triple arch iceberg. Now, it's really special to see something like this because pretty much it's probably not there anymore, right? I mean, ice melts, winds come through, it's probably already collapsed. And being able to see these types of sculptures, made out of ice is pretty phenomenal. I will say, too, you do not kayak underneath these, okay? The reason why is because you don't know if it's gonna melt, right? I mean, if the thing collapses, it'll collapse right on you, and you're pretty much done, right? Um, but being able to view them, take some photos was great. This was a cool photo in the bottom left of just seeing how big the land was in front of me. And then this was really cool too. You saw it in this last photo right here, right? The kayakers. We had another photo right here as well of all the kayakers and now lifelong friends. It was really, really spectacular. We also kayaked up to a shipwreck. This was an old whaling, like where they would extract the oil from the whales shipwreck. This was really cool because when we did this, the divers actually were diving at the same time underneath. So they were seeing the bottom of it, and we were kayaking up at the top. Pretty sweet. We even kayaked up close to it. So here you can see we're like on the inside of, I guess on top of the ship, technically, right? Inside slash top of the ship, as well as just really close by. So close that we could look inside the ship. Now, obviously, there wasn't, much to look at, but just being able to see all the rust and the big chain and all that was really spectacular. Okay. I actually was not aware we were going to a shipwreck when we were kayaking. until I was there. So it was a big surprise for me as well. I have several kayaking videos. The first one is called a Zodiac boat ride. Now, I mentioned the Zodiac boat earlier, but I want to show you how they get the kayaks from the cruise ship to the Zodiac. Pretty much they tie them to the back of the Zodiacs and drag them to where we go. Then we hop inside the kayaks and then we go do our kayaking, and then coming back, kind of same thing. We hook the kayaks to the Zodiac boat. The Zodiac boat takes us back to the cruise ship. We hop out, and then the crew deals with the kayaks. Okay.
Life's gonna be boring.
Let me show you one more time. Just look towards the back of the Zodiac.
Life's gonna be boring.
Yeah, so really cool. And then let me show you the video number 2, Zodiac boat drop off.
How beautiful is that horseshoe?
Oh, no, it's really blue.
Yeah.
So as you can see, there were some people already kayaking, and the rest of us were inside the Zodiac boat. How it works is one person gets in at a time, into the kayaks. We help each other out, and then you pretty much, paddle around the Zodiac boat. Wait, to wait for everybody to get in their kayaks, and then we all go together. You go as a group. You don't leave the group. Very safe, but just kind of letting you know in case you do decide to do something like this. So here's a video of the actual kayaking. So I know that wasn't much of a video, but that's just kind of showing how we stay together as a group, and how we all, pretty much we go as a pod of kayaks, right? And then the cool thing about kayaking that's different than the landings is you get to see the wildlife in the water. You know what I mean? So on the land, the camping, and the landings, you see the wildlife. But in the water was really awesome. So down here in the video number 4, this is kayaking with a raft of penguins. Okay. Let me play that one last time. And I don't know if you can notice, but it's just like dead silent. So besides the sound of the water, all you can hear are the penguins, chirping at each other. Chirping, honking, I don't know. But I think that's another thing I really liked about this is you just felt like you were just in the middle of nowhere, and I guess I was in the middle of nowhere. But you just being able to take that in was really awesome. So besides the penguins, we also kayaked with humpback whales. Okay, I'll show this video twice as well. So here we go. So let me show it one more time in case you did not see that. Out of all the wildlife, that was probably my favorite to see were the humpbacks. But again, especially from kayaking, it was really, really, really
How
special.
beautiful is that horseshoe?
No, that was really blue.
Okay. Now, we also did what were called the landings, okay? Let me get back into the slideshow, okay? I just want to check the time. All right, we're still good. All right, so the landings, that's the main reason you go, right? To step foot on Antarctica. Now, yes, we stepped foot on Antarctica with the camping, but that was kind of its own special excursion, right? So with these landings, let me just show you some of the landings. Right here, this brown, that is penguin poo. So that's why I was saying you wear these muck boots. You're gonna step in this. But this was called an ice graveyard, which was really cool because it was like its own like little channel, right? Like kind of looks like a river in a way. And just seeing the underside of the ice was great. That light blue was just spectacular. So the landings were really cool. Um, Sorry, this landing was really cool. And then this landing was, you could see the penguins again. I'll get into the wildlife in the second part of this video, but pretty much when you get on the land, you're gonna see penguins or seals. Okay. This was from the campsite. This left one, and you can see the penguin colony again. This was just me and the landings. Check out that beautiful, beautiful mustache. Just kidding. No, it was really cool. This picture and this picture were in the same area. This one, I just wanted to show just kind of how pristine and clean the continent is. This one there was a sailing ship down there. Now, like I said, it takes 3 days to get down from Argentina to Antarctica, and that is by cruise ship. I don't know how long it would take a sailing ship to get down there, but probably quite a while. Okay. And then the last one I want to show you is the landing. Excuse me. The last landing I want to show you is called Deception Island. Now, I said earlier the kayakers went 6 times. I asked the kayaking guide usually how long do they try and go, and he said that they try and go at least 5 times. So 6 was amazing. Now, I only did 5 times because the 6th time the kayakers kayaked over here by Deception Island, and I wanted to spend more time on the land. Now, when you kayak, you have time to do both. You have time to kayak as well as get on the land because you do these excursions between breakfast and lunch and between lunch and dinner. So you have like 4 or 5 hours to work with, okay? But for this specific landing, I wanted to spend as much time as possible on the land. As well as I did the 5 kayaking times. I loved it. It was great. Um, Again, probably my favorite part of the trip. But come to the sixth time, I was a little burnt out as well. So this island is called Deception Island. Okay. Now it's called Deception Island because Antarctica, you think of white, right? You think of snow and ice. This was a black sand beach on an active volcano. Okay. Um, so here's the cruise ship again, beautiful MV Ortelius, on this black sand beach where these little guys, I'm sure, loved having their feet nice and warm on the beach. Okay. Um, it was it was a land or and sorry, not land. It was an island also with whale bones, crashed boats, as well as I believe they were oil rigs for extracting whale oil that collapsed. I think because of a fire, or maybe from the volcano. But pretty much this thing is like desolate. Besides the bones, the ships, etc. Okay. Um, so here we go again. Deception Island. Here are the whaling oil rigs that were, pretty much burned down. And pretty sure that there were people buried here as well. But it was really interesting to see because, again, when you think of the Great White Continent, you don't think of black sand beach, right? You think of just everything ice, snow, penguins, whales, seals, etc. But this really threw me off guard. I was not expecting something like this. There were even some birds that you could see up here sitting on top. And just to show for size how big it was, here's me, and here's the land, right? Here's the oil rigs, and here's the I guess more oil rigs. I guess I should say. Excuse me. But it was huge. It was it was awesome though. Okay. So I do have one video, and this video you'll be able to see the steam coming off the black sand beach, or from the volcano, which means that this sand was very warm. So that compared to the cold water, it was quite the difference. But this is why these creatures, these penguins, want to stay on the beach because obviously when they're down in Antarctica or in the water, it's all cold. So this is probably really nice for them. We also saw a baby elephant seal, but that will be we saw a baby elephant seal on Deception Island, but that will be shown in the next video. Okay. So here, please enjoy this video of the steam coming off. Yeah. I am going to show this one more time. I know it's a short video, but again, just check out the steam coming across. Really awesome. If you get a chance to go to Antarctica, this island I really recommend. And actually, that is the end to part 1 of the 2-part video of Journey to the Bottom of the Earth. I hope you have enjoyed seeing my photos and videos thus far, and hope you are interested in watching the second video. I do apologize again if I probably have repeated myself quite a bit on some of it. But, you know, again, this is for my own personal experience and my own personal pleasure. And I want to be able to give the presentation as if I'm talking to you face to face. Okay? Again, my name is Dylan Nosbish, and please let me know if you have any questions or comments once it is uploaded. Okay? Thank you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.